recently petitioned my state of Oregon regarding the Menstrual Dignity Act. This was a well-intended bill that was to provide feminine hygiene products in our schools for free. That bill became unreasonable and irresponsible when the verbiage changed that it had to be in female, gender-neutral, and specifically boys' bathrooms in all K through 12 schools. $5.5 million is being redirected from the state school fund to provide these products in these bathrooms. Boys do not menstruate. I will not confuse my son and tell him that boys menstruate when he does not have a uterus and he will never ovulate.
Well, the new statewide Oregon bill has parents like Sherry asking why tampons in boys' bathrooms are a necessary expense. Now, she's joining us here today, and we're talking $5.5 million to put these in all the bathrooms across the state?
Yes, K through 12. And that $5.5 million, it's a carve out. So it comes out before they distribute the money to the schools after that. And so considering everything that has happened since the pandemic and beyond, achievement gaps, just education in general, where Oregon falls across all the states for education, the idea of taking this money out for feminine hygiene products, which is available in schools. You may have to ask for them, they're in the office and stuff like that, but they've always been available.
Do you know what percentage of the budget this is for Oregon's educational budget?
All I know, I don't know the percentage, but I do know that it equates to 30 teachers a year.
This is less than 0.1% of the total budget.
We could use 30 teachers a year.
They could use 30 teachers. I mean,
which is true, so we should increase the education budget.
I think that math, though, avoids the central issue.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other side of that, if you want to talk about the funding, I would ask, why couldn't the funding come out of, for menstrual products out of OHP, the Oregon Health Plan, versus coming out of the education budget, which is meant to educate our children?
But is it commonsensical to put these products in every
yes.
bathroom?
I want to give a two-part response here. First of all, I mean, like we saw in Tennessee, trans boys do need to use restrooms. Trans boys can menstruate, and that's okay. And second, if people are running out of menstrual products, which I went to a school that provided them, it happens all the time, a boy could just run into the bathroom and grab it for his friend. So this is actually a law that benefits everyone, including cisgender women.
But it's also a law that can be abused, because we've already, in the female bathrooms where it does make sense for them to be, they're putting them all over the walls. Boys, you know, I don't have any firsthand experience, but there's already been stories from parents that have come to me talking about boys wearing them on their ears.
So should we also ban toilet paper from bathrooms?
No, but why do we put them in places where they're
You know what, guys? Why do we put toilet paper in all bathrooms? Because everyone uses toilet paper. Boys do and girls do. That's why we put it in all. So for her to sit there and say, well, we put toilet paper in all bathrooms, because everyone uses toilet paper.
higher propensity of being misused. It just doesn't make sense.
So to add to your point, this is really important for lower socioeconomic schools. Transgender boys who might not have their own money to go buy tampons, if they're provided free in the bathroom, it's a huge plus.
Men do not menstruate. Only women menstruate. Now you can...
Well, guys, man, let's be really honest here. I mean, really honest. Number one, boys don't menstruate. No boys menstruate. You know, you can say trans boys do, but trans boys are girls. That is, in fact, what they are. They are girls. Number one. And this whole thing about grooming, yeah, of course, man. We don't need to talk to our kids, especially our young kids, about trans. We don't, man. We are so busy trying to make people feel included. And we got to include everyone. We got to include everyone in everything. No, we don't. We don't have to include everyone in everything. We don't have to make abnormal normal. Abnormal is not normal for a reason. Again, man, we don't have to make abnormal normal. It's not. That's not normal. You know, somebody wants to get their whatever chopped off or whatever added, or that stuff is not normal. It's not. And people can say, well, there was more of this going on back years ago, but we didn't know about this, and we didn't. No, it wasn't. It was not happening years ago. Again, man, we would have been seeing people committing suicide and everything else for, all kinds of reasons because they were born into the wrong body. And no, they weren't. That kind of stuff didn't happen. Why? Because it wasn't being pushed. It wasn't being indoctrinated. Kids weren't being exposed to this kind of decay, this kind of depravity. They weren't being exposed to this. It wasn't happening. And now it's happening. People are wanting to expose young kids to this kind of ridiculousness. And we're doing so under being inclusive. No, we don't need to include everything in. We don't need to let the Trojan horse in. We don't need to let evil in. And that's what that is.
I have issues with Eli's gender unicorn as a teaching tool, right?
Yes.
Tell us what we're looking at here.
Well, you were looking at TSER's fantastic little gender unicorn. It teaches students of all ages about gender identity, expression, and attraction. It teaches them that everything is on a spectrum and they should be able to explore and express themselves.
And you say that this is appropriate beginning in kindergarten.
I mean, I've worked with parents who brought it into preschools even. I see you nodding your head at that. I'm sure you're very excited about it. And I do want to point out that there are plenty of trans youth, myself included, who have come out at young ages. If I had this as a tool when I was 8 years old, I would have been so much more comfortable with myself. I would have known who I was and that I wasn't alone.
Just to piggyback on that, the signs of gender dysphoria develop very young. Like you can see it in a 3-year-old. And by the time they're 4, their gender identity is pretty much solidified. So you will see the signs of someone who's not happy with the gender they're born with very little.
Actually, that's not true. That is not true.
You can suppress it. Their gender expression is
not
different.
True.
Gender
all
expression depends on the
last, all the science for the last 100 years has shown in boys who experience gender dysphoria between 2 and 3, 85% of them simply grow up to be gay.
Oh, I love that you're saying
And
this
the
study,
other
'cause I know
5,
exactly which one it is.
don't
This
interrupt
is,
and be rude.
I will.
The other 5%
You don't think that dismissing an
tend
entire
to
group
be
of people
straight,
is being rude?
And then there are 1 or 2%. The transgender dysphoria persists into adulthood.
At the age of 4, a child is not.
He's not being rude to anyone. All he's stating is factual. The 85% of boys that experience gender dysphoria grow up to be gay.
Means versus physical attraction.
course.
Children do get
And
crushes.
this is a completely age inappropriate product to be putting in front of children and hijacking this unicorn concept.
I'm saying at every age.
You
Gender
say
is an every age
3,
conversation.
4 years old, and you say 12.
I say the signs develop young, but kids between 4 and 6 just can't comprehend that there's
that's the
any
gender
other
unicorn right
reality
there.
than what they see on TV or what their families expose
So
them to.
you disagree that the unicorn conversation should be held at 3 or 4?
I think it should be age appropriate. Like you don't sit down a 5-year-old and be like, listen, you can,
The gender unicorn also isn't about the child themselves. It's about what could be. It's about possibilities of gender and
it's
sexuality.
curriculum in school districts.
So are you saying we shouldn't ever present any children with books about gay men?
I am saying that your gender unicorn concept is a completely unethical practice in our school systems to children, and it should be eliminated. It is right now.
Tell that to the tens of thousands of schools that are using it.
Why is it that they're using it? You've got this free PDF that is people are downloading irresponsibly, and it should not be in the school system.
One of the things that is troubling is we see a lot more suicidal ideation. We see a lot more suicide attempts. in the transgender community. And I'm talking about a lot more, like triple what you see in the general population among youth. And when you see youth in society looking at suicide as an option, then society's not doing their job. You got to stop and say, what are we doing that these folks feel that that's their best option? That means we're not doing what we need to do. And I wonder sometimes if there's too much focus on the transgender issue and not enough focus on the 98.6% of teaching them how to treat everybody with dignity and respect and consideration. Do you have a story or a question?
You know what, guys? I think we have the wrong approach. I really do. We got this whole thing of we have to accept everyone and everything, and it's like, first of all, no, we don't. We're letting in the wrong ideology. It's evil. It's wrong. We're teaching kids, instead of teaching kids to accept themselves the way they are, accept your body, accept yourself the way you are. That's how you were born. You were born in a boy's body because, in fact, you are a boy. You were born in a girl's body because, in fact, you are a girl. So instead of teaching kids to be okay with who they are, we're teaching kids that, hey, you were born in the wrong body. Maybe you were born in the wrong body and you need to change yourself. Somehow, you need to change yourself by cutting things off or adding things on, whatever. And that doesn't work. I mean, you can resemble kind of what the other sex, but you are not that thing. You will never be that. You will just be some kind of hodgepodge, like cut off, put on, hormone blockers, you will always be that. You will never be that which you claim to be. You will never be that. So instead of teaching kids, you know what? Yeah, you're right. You were born in the wrong body. And you're going to be miserable until we cut things off. Instead of teaching them that crap, teach them that, you know what? If there is an issue, if you do feel weird about your body or whatever, and everyone does to some degree. I mean, most people don't think they're boys when they're girls or girls when they're boys. But most people, when they're kids, they kind of feel awkward at some point with their body. And again, man, teach kids to be okay with who they actually are. And not teach kids that, you know what, you can change that. Don't be okay with who you are. Again, maybe you're born in the wrong body. Don't teach kids that, because that's not true. You were born the way you were born. That is it. And that is truth. But we have this whole notion that we can change things, and we can't. We can't change things. So why not get kids to accept who they are? Anyways, guys, if you would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks.
You son of a